It is Firearm Files, but that's just the name of this channel. My name is Mason. You might know because I made some video about drum mags and AR pistols and all that. Today, I'm talking about PSA daggers. This is we got Federal Hollow Point synthetic blue tips in there. That's what you want. And by the way, while I have the camera, my Zennies went fucking stale because the lid didn't lock all the way. So Zens need to fix your thing. I'm sucking on a stale Zen right now. PSA dagger. This is a Saber Edition slide. So the slide is their new Saber Edition release. This is a compact PSA dagger frame. You can get these frames for like 60 bucks. A Saber slide. I have a Gideon optic on top. Very big optic. You can kind of see it right there. And this thing's a shooter, man. I have the comped version because threaded barrels are for lame people. You either want it because you look cool, or you want to suppress your pistol for some reason because you're weird or an assassin. Or you're gonna put a compensator on it, and it's like, why would you want to put a fat compensator on the end of your pistol unless you're shooting, like, you know, drills and doing time constraint stuff? Like, you know, I'm not doing any of that. This is my carry gun, so I opted for the ported slide. What we're talking about with this today is I bought, I'm sure you can see, no, this is not an FRT. This looks like a bunch of FRTs that are on the market right now, and we are clear. This is a Timey trigger. So the Timey trigger is a 3-pound trigger for the Glock 19 platform, or really any of the Glock platforms, whether it's, you know, 22, 17, 26, you know, any of these standard frame Glock platforms. So whenever I say standard frame, I mean none of your single stack Glocks, no Glock that shoots 22, 380, none of that. 48, 43X, these triggers aren't for them. And then your full size, like your big Glock frames, your Glock 40, Glock 20, the other 10 mil Glock that I can't think of, the Glock 21, the 45, ACP, the one that shoots 45. This trigger doesn't work for any of them. This trigger works for all standard frames, so most Glocks out there, your Glock 19s, 17s, 19Xs, whatever. So, this is a Timey trigger. A lot of people, and the reason I'm making this video, they cannot get them to work in their PSA daggers. I was one of these people. It took me a month of buying new parts. I had to ship my trigger back to Timey because I messed it up on install, because I installed the trigger, no joke, 20 something times, and I severely messed up the little drive where the pin goes through, that little hole where you drive the pin through, because I installed it so much trying to troubleshoot. So we are clear. Just to show that I got my Timey to work, you pull, there's the brake, release, or rack the slide and go to release, and you can hear that reset and pull again. So I'm gonna talk about how I got that to happen, because a lot of people, they'll install it, oh cool, they love the trigger, you'll go to function check, oh yeah, it shoots, you'll rack, and then you'll let go and your trigger will not reset, or you'll have a binary fire where you will let go and the gun will go off a second time. That is not what these triggers are meant for. So I will not show you how to disassemble this because YouTube says we can't show that for some reason. But this is my lower. You can see I have the Timey in there. So how did I get this to work? The Timey trigger, like I said, is for all the Glock platforms. You know, Glock 17, 19, whatever, standard frame. However, they use different housings than the Glock, or the Glock clone, the PSA dagger. They use different tree housings or trigger housings, whatever you want to call them. So for me to get this to work, for me to get my Timey to work, which by the way, Timey triggers are absolutely amazing, great triggers. They actually don't reset from back here. They reset from the spring right here, fun fact. But they usually don't work. How I got mine to work, I know I'm jumping around a lot, is you see right here, your disconnector that my fingernail is currently touching, that little disconnector right there. Whenever you pull, you know, your disconnector comes to the side. I just push this to the side, and then as I release, it moves back. That little part moves back. That's actually what resets your trigger. In case you didn't know, all Glocks have that little notch. So you see how my slide comes out, pushes my finger out. That actually pushes your disconnector this way. Oh, it's kind of hard. Pushes it this way to reset your trigger, and whenever you let off, it slides back in there so you can push your trigger bar back down. It's a bunch of Glock stuff. Pretty much that is what's going on with all these PSA daggers. It is your connector. I tried buying multiple connectors. I thought, buying a Ghost 3.5 pound connector, dropping it would work. Didn't work. I tried binary connectors. I tried OEMs, meaning standard Glock connectors. I tried everything. Nothing worked. I even shaved some of my disconnectors. None of it worked. But I knew it was a disconnect. It was a connector issue. So what I did is this part right here, this connector, I had to custom fit it. And whenever I say that, I had to put it in vise. So vise, I got it squished in there. I had to take a little hammer. I had to tap it. You have to bend this part just enough. So all you have to do is that part that bends over. Let's see if I can pull up a picture. No, okay, I can't. I'm using a phone right now, and I got this on my laptop. Can't pull up a picture, but that little part right there, it's usually pointed up some more, so you can see that part right there that my fingernail is touching. Not my finger, but my fingernail is touching right there. That part is usually faced up some more. You see I have mine pretty much angled the same way as this piece right here. So you see how they're both facing left to your right, my left. You want to bend that down a little bit. Now be careful, because if you bend it down too much, let me reassemble real quick. If you bend it down too much, whenever you go and rack your gun will get stuck to the rear because there's too much tension. So that's why I say it took me a couple tries. You bend it too little, you'll have the same issue. You'll shoot, go to reset, round goes off, whatever. You do it too much and your gun starts to get stuck to the rear like this. So I bent it just a little bit, just enough to where the gun can now fire, cycle, release. No bullet is fired until you pull the trigger again. So, and the reason it does that is because, going back to this part that actually pushes that connector over. Sorry, I had to swallow some spit right there. Whenever it pushes it over on a stock connector, OEM connector and all that stuff, it pushes it over enough to reset, but not enough to let the trigger, the strike, it pushes it over enough to where the trigger can reset, yes, sometimes, especially if you hold pressure on the slide, but it pushes it over in a weird way to where whenever you let go, the trigger catches the sear, or your striker right here. I'm trying to use the proper wordage so people that understand know what I'm talking about. So your striker right here, obviously everybody knows this gets pulled up and let go. That's how your rounds go off. So whenever your sear, say my hand's a striker, whenever it's like this, whenever you let it go, the sear drops just a little bit, enough to let that striker go off, right? And that's what causes the binary. So that's why you have to bend that connector just a little bit to let the trigger reset, but without pushing that trigger bar down anymore. Because remember, you push it down, then that trigger's gonna go off. So it lets it reset just enough to where it moves, but not enough to let that trigger, your striker go off. So that's why you have to do it. And long story short, but if anybody's having trouble, get a Glock 19 trigger. So this is a Glock 19 trigger in here, right? Use the housing. The Glock 19 triggers are cheap. They're plentiful. Got it, came in 2 days. Use the housing, install the Timey on it, and then bend that connector ever so slightly. It's gonna take you a couple of tries. Took me a couple of tries. It's very easy though, guys. I put it on a desk, I hammered it a little bit, I put it on a vise, did some fine adjustments. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm not, I'm good with guns, especially ARs and Glocks, Glock clones, and AKs. That's kind of like what I specialize in. But if I can do it, anybody can do it. And that will fix your Timey trigger and your PSA dagger. So again, trigger works just fine. Some people, and I will say this, don't just assume it works, because sometimes whenever you put a full magazine in there, now the gun's loaded, but there's not one in the chamber. But if you put a full magazine in there, sometimes you'll let off and it'll go binary again. That means that you have to bend it more. Mine doesn't do that because I bent it a pretty good amount to where that won't happen. But yeah, sometimes you can get it and like, oh yeah, it works, you know, I'm doing good, and then you go and put your magazine in there, and now whenever you let go, the gun goes off. So, and it's just because it pushes up, it creates pressure where there was no pressure before. So that is how you fix your PSA dagger if you have a Timey trigger installed. I see people on PSA talk about it. I see people on Reddit talk about it. People on YouTube talk about it. No one has given me a clear answer. That's why I'm making this video. Everyone's saying, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. No, they're all wrong. None of it works. If it works for you, great. Wish you the best of luck. I had to do my own research and talk to my boss, who is very skilled about this stuff, and he helped me do it. So if we can do it, anybody can. You just gotta... Ooh, I should not have showed that on YouTube. My bad. This is fake, by the way, YouTube. But if we can do it, anybody can do it. Last thing I wanted to talk about, just because, you know, it was my birthday recently. We are loaded back up. By the way, that's the build, guys. 20 round magazine, 15 round magazine, plus 5 extension. We're gonna put a light on there and everything, but that is the build. And I would show y'all another trigger pull, but we're hot right now, so we're not gonna do that. So put that aside. But it was my birthday, so I'm gonna go ahead and flex my new purchase. It was a gift. I didn't purchase it. I did do the background though. So, and I'm 21 now, so I did the background for the lower. It came in multiple parts. I did the background for the lower. It got proceeded. I'm not one of those people who get delayed, so I was very happy about that. This was a gift to me. This is my 20-inch AR-15, one of the retro ones. Some people gave me hate for putting this on there because, oh, you get a gun like this, you want it to be retro. I understand, boss. But I dig this, bro. And if you're like me, where you're always playing with your guns and you're outside shooting a lot, and you're running around on people's property and shooting targets and stuff, that little finger groove starts digging in your hand. So, and I just love how these contour my wrist. I can really get underneath the rifle. Look how long it is. It's incredible. I can literally almost touch my phone and I'm like 3 feet away. But yeah, 20-inch barrel, AR-15, chambered in yours truly, 5.56. And this has like been a dream gun of mine because if you don't know, 5.56 does some pretty magical things with a 20-inch barrel. So this is my gift, but this isn't why we did the video. We did the video so I can help you guys with these. So I hope this helped out. If you have any questions at all, please comment and ask. I will give you the best advice I possibly can. I work with guns all the time, so I'm not qualified, you know, I'm not like the guy, but I know enough to help, you know. So if you have any questions, just ask. And you know, I think the Timey trigger, even though they're not meant for Glock clones, the P80, the PSA dagger and all that, you can make them work. And whenever you make them work, dude, they're totally worth it. I mean, this gun is so much less than the Glock. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I have like $1,200 into this pistol right here, but it's like, dude, I'd be $2,000 into it if this was a Glock. If this was all a Glock with the trigger and the aftermarket barrels, suppressor height sights, Gideon optic, I'm gonna put a light on it, grip tip, like, dude, if this was a Glock, it'd be so much money. And I built this gun for so much cheaper than I can do a Glock. That's why I tell everybody, go PSA dagger, go P80 frame, do all that stuff, and then do all the cool Glock stuff to it, like this Timey Glock trigger that I have in here. Because it's worth it, dude. There is some troubleshooting. It's definitely worth it, though. I think that the PSA dagger is a fine gun. That is probably, and I didn't want to admit to this, I shoot better with the PSA dagger than I have with any pistol ever. SAR-9 SOCOM. If you don't know what a SAR-9 SOCOM is, dude, you're missing out. Great gun. One of the best pistols. Canik TTI Combat. That's a great pistol. Everybody knows. That's like a top tier pistol. Glock 19. Glock 19X. Glock 19 Gen 5. The first Glock I mentioned was a Gen 3 I had. P365 X Macro. These are all pistols I've had, and I shoot by far the best with this PSA dagger. It fits my hand, but it really is all thanks to this Timey trigger, because I have a problem of, jerking like everybody does. You jerk down, you anticipate that shot. This doesn't allow me to do that because it's a 3-pound weight. So I get halfway on that trigger pull and that round goes off before you even know it. And I like it like that. If my finger's on the trigger, I want the round to go off. My finger doesn't touch the trigger unless I want a round to go off. And, unless I'm doing YouTube videos where I know my gun isn't, hot. I did clear it before I touched the trigger just now. But yeah, guys, I say go PSA dagger, put a Timey trigger in it. You will not regret it. One of the best pistol builds out there you can do right now for pretty cheap. A dagger runs like $400. Timey trigger's like $250, I believe. So it's like sub 600, sub 700 bucks. You can get yourself a nice pistol. Glock 19 Gen 5s are like, with MOS, are like what, like 700 bucks, and you're sub 700 bucks for a PSA dagger that comes with suppressor height, sights, MOS, and you can get a Timey trigger. Like, it's a no-brainer. Go PSA dagger. Glock's overrated. But I really hope this helped everybody out. My light just went out. I really hope this helped everybody out. If it didn't, let me know. If it did, let me know. If you have any questions, also let me know. And then let me know what kind of videos I want to see next, whether it's, super safeties, what to do, how to get them working and stuff. Really good with those. I have about 100 installs on super safeties. Believe it or not, I've done about 100 of them. Whether y'all want to do that, if y'all want to see like my kit, like plates and all that, just let me know what y'all want. I enjoy doing these videos, but I really enjoy helping people out. And the main reason, again, why I'm doing this is like, there's no information on this, so I just wanted to get out here and tell people what I found out. So I appreciate y'all watching. If you made it this far, appreciate you. Send me your clips, man. Send me everything you got. I'd like to see y'all's PSA dagger builds, so let me know how y'all's come out, and if the Timey trigger works for you, if it's dropping, or if any of these tips helped you, man. So I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I hope this helped somebody. Later.